And thank you for coming to this workshop. A wonderful opportunity to actively participate in, well, adjusting to change. We're still trying to figure this out here together, yeah. And each of these workshops, a workshop series, and this is the 8th in a row, yeah. It's still linked to mastering our goals in life, yeah, and it's now looking a little deeper into the needs and wants. Why? Because mastering our goals in life is impossible. Yeah, let me just make the statement here to kick this off. If we do not know what our needs and wants are. And there's a part of us that, wants to just give it a quick answer and wants to sort of brush over this. Of course, I know what I want, yeah. And upon further investigation, turns out that may not be so. We are all very good at telling ourselves or telling others what we don't want. Okay? But when it actually comes to formulating and freely expressing what it is that we do want, what it is that we want more of, right? We run into a few issues. So here are the first comments. By the way, my name is Jona Bryndis. Yes, you all know me, the author of the Sacred Self-Healing Program. And in this workshop, we will continue our discussion about how to reach your goals. And I'd like to hear from you, how this is working for you. Yeah, can you say what you want without saying what you don't want? Who wants to go first? Can you say what you want without saying what you don't want? Who wants to give it a go?
I think for me, what I want is to know the feeling of self-love and to know the feeling of spreading love.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. I hear the words, Linda. And really all you're saying is that it's all about love. Okay. But I must say that when you say the feeling of self-love, I kind of lose you there. Okay. Pretend I'm a 5-year-old. What are you talking about, Mom? The feeling of self-love. How do you explain the feeling of self-love to a 5-year-old?
In that conversation, I'm a 3-year-old. I don't know, and I'd like my mom to tell me.
Well, maybe that's even better. A 3-year-old and a 5-year-old can have very, very interesting conversations free of all this mental overlay. And usually also free of all the negations. Yeah. Why? Because at that age, just on the side note, we're much freer in our thinking and feeling, and it's much easier for us to actually say what we want and what we need, unless there's some trauma present. But I'm not going to let you get away easily here, Linda. Okay, you're a mom, which means you must have gone through this at least once in your life, where your child asks you or asked you these sort of seemingly simple questions in life, and you had to kind of dumb it down. Why do we have to dumb it down for children? Not because they're dumb, no, because they don't have the vocabulary. So we have to choose our vocabulary very carefully so that they can understand us. And quite frankly, it's not really about understanding us, it's about feeling us. So how do you explain self-love and the kind of self-love that you need? Yeah, and maybe it isn't even self-love. Maybe it is love that you want from the outside. Let's go there, guys, not just you, Linda. And we're talking about self-love all the time. The feeling of self-love. Okay, define it, please. If that's a goal in life, I mean, you better be like really good at describing it, painting it, projecting it, telling me, sharing with me and others. It's not about me, it's about, in this instance it is, but what that is. How do you want me to interpret your silence?
For me, it's not knowing.
All right, then the truthful answer is I don't know. Okay, and that's the first lesson we all need to learn here. Okay, if we're not sure, if we don't know, it's better to say I don't know rather than not saying anything. Why? Because not saying anything, well, that gives us a way out, right? At least you can't give a wrong answer. Are there any wrong answers when somebody asks you, how do you want love? And while you're saying it, what is self-love for you? Are there any wrong answers? Give it a try, Linda, since you're the only one brave enough here to talk. Give it a try. Or anybody else, please. Yes, Annette, I see you opened your hand.
Yeah. So love is when I feel connected and can stay connected in no matter what's happening.
All right, describe the connected then.
Yeah, in my
We're
heart.
using one abstract concept. Self-love is an abstract concept with another abstract concept connected. So describe it. I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah, you can feel your heart. You feel in balance.
Balance is an abstract concept.
Yeah, centered, grounded.
All these things don't mean anything to me when I'm 5 years old.
Okay.
And when I'm 3 years old, even less.
Okay.
Those are all abstract concepts. They all come from your mind, Annette.
Yeah.
We're talking about a feeling here. Make me feel it.
You feel happy?
All right, happy is also abstract. More defined than happy.
Joyful.
When I hug you, or when I care for you, when I look after you, so I feed you, I clean off your scuffed knee.
Okay, okay, that helps me, Linda. You're using like an allegory or like a metaphor, right? Like a picture in my head, that a situation that I can picture in my head. Yeah. What was the main thing you just sort of pointed out? What was the main feeling that you pointed out just right now?
The warmth of a hug.
Yeah. And the caring feeling, right? So it sounds, that's what it felt like to me. I can feel that.
Yeah,
The
me too.
warmth, the hug, feeling cared for. Go further there. You started out with that's
Paying
what you.
attention. So paying attention, caring about what you say or how you think, like listening.
Okay, that's what me like. or getting that from others? Is that something I can do more of, or is that something I need from others?
That was me explaining it to the 5-year-old.
Right,
So
but
how-
it's okay. So, but who's getting and who's giving?
when I'm giving love, I show it by listening and caring about what they think and say.
So I'm the 5-year-old that is you right now, or 3-year-old that wants more of that. Okay. You said the feeling of self-love, remember? Do you want to correct that now? Do you want to call it differently?
Oh yeah, I was on to the, how would I explain it to a 5-year-old?
No, it's okay. It's 5-year-old, 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Tomatoes, tomatoes. Okay. Do you want to call it differently now? Different than I want to experience the feeling of self-love.
Yeah, so when I'm explaining it to a 5-year-old, I'm explaining how it comes to them externally. That's a good one.
Yeah. Good job, Linda. Yeah. Good insight. And let's not forget, you are the, well, according to yourself, the 3-year-old, so you have to kind of dumb it down even more. But metaphors, allegories work really well, whether it's a 3 or 5-year-old or 50-year-old.
Jona, can you hear me, or do I have
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Mickey Mouse?
I hear you. You know Mickey Mouse. All
Am I
good.
not? Okay,
No, no, all good.
that's good. For me, it would be more of like a chocolate cake. The feeling when you are eating
Right.
the chocolate cake with the cream, your belly is so happy, you are so happy. And when you give the chocolate cake to someone, you are just giving your love to someone. But if someone is giving to you chocolate cake, you feel like you are getting the love from someone.
Right. And that's actually perfect for a 3-year-old, and that's why I often use the cookie as a kind of like a metaphor, right? And I often talk about the cookie in conjunction with our ego. Why do I do this? Well, because the cookie still is somewhat not only externalized, as Linda figured, yeah, because we are not a cookie. I am not a cookie. The cookie is something I need from the outside, and therefore I strive for getting more cookies. That's externalized. Okay, and this is the reason why this is not a good example. It is a good example for describing the feeling of joy or pleasure, to be more precise, to a 3-year-old, but it is not a good example for describing where we started, namely, well, again, this was our arbitrary title, feeling self-love. That's a deeper feeling, isn't it? It's much deeper than just pleasure. We already got to warmth. We already got to feeling taken care of. Yeah. So when we feel taken care of, when we feel warmth, what does that do to us? How does that make us feel? That's the problem with the cookie, Annette. The cookie only does that for 5 minutes, and then we crave more of it. We can't generate it within ourselves. Unless you learn how to be a good cookie baker like me. It tells you a lot about me. I want more cookies. No. So how does that make us feel? When we feel that somebody else cares, that somebody else listens to us. I suppose you meant to say listens to our needs, what we need and what we want.
It makes us feel safe.
Yes. All right. Okay, Linda, since you were the one who brought up the arbitrary title of feeling self-love, does this match? Yeah. The
Yeah, the
attributes.
word I wrote down was safe too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so feeling taken care of, feeling that somebody cares, feeling warm, yeah, feeling safe. Okay, that is a valid goal. That's a valid goal. Now, happiness and pleasure and all these things, well, they're also part of that, right? How do our pleasures, yeah, and in my lingo here, I use the word wants. Those are the wants in life, yeah, the cookies, the chocolate cakes. How do they relate to our goals? Are they identical? I mean, can you honestly say about yourself, my goal in life is to have more chocolate cake, more and more, all day long, every day?
Yeah, it seems like the wants part is more about the things.
A little bit, yeah, can be. I mean, in our times, nowadays, it is. Yeah, it's very materialistic in that sense. Yeah, or you know, material. It's a having, getting, owning. Yeah. But so what you're saying, Linda, or Annette, I don't know what you want to say, but are you saying that the wants are not necessarily the same as the goals?
I was talking about how they're different from the needs.
Nice. Okay, so now we're starting to form an equation here. We form a relationship between these different notions in us. We have goals, we have wants, and we have needs. Nice. Okay. So let's discuss this. How do our wants and our needs play into our goals? Let's contemplate this together and differentiate more consciously here. So the there, in quotation marks, that's the goal. Yeah. In order for us to know if a goal is reached, well, there needs to be sort of a fulfillment of some parameters, right? Our wants need to be met, our needs need to be met. Ignore the changes here for now. Aren't these two components here part of our goals?
Yes, I would say so.
Is there anything else outside the needs and the wants? I mean, can you come up with other things?
No, I don't know.
I have a subcategory of wants, and those would be the nice to haves. You know, do you know what I mean with that? The nice to haves. You know, like, yeah, they're not actually wants, but I wouldn't say no if it came with a little extra whipping cream, you know? I wouldn't mind that. But I can do without. So the wants are the feelings that we have when we're there. Yeah, so we aim at certain states that we then proclaim are our wants. But, and this is the big issue that all of you are having, why it's so difficult for you to answer the simple question, what are your goals in life? And they do need to match up with our needs. Okay, so coming back to the initial statement here, Linda, thank you for being my sparring partner here. The feeling of self-love, is this a want or a need?
That's a good point, because the want is the end goal. And so I would think that it's the end goal, but really, I think that self-love is really the way I get to everything that I want. But then it would be a need.
Yeah, and the wants is not the end goal. The chocolate cake or the, feeling safe is not the end goal. Let me assure you that. There's a further differentiation that needs to be done. But it is the stuff that we feel first. Yeah. At least so we think that that's what it is. But I like your thought process that you're now realizing, okay, there's a qualitative difference between a want and a need. Well, I just want to remind you all that there's also a qualitative difference between a goal and a want. Okay. Has anybody ever wanted something so bad they thought that this is all they need? And if they have it, then everything changes. And then they're at the end of the road and finally found the pot of gold and have all their goals achieved. And then you got your wants. And somehow it didn't feel like that at all. Anybody ever happened this to?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, that was a thought process.
What were
Yeah.
your error perceptions about your own wants when you were younger? Give us an example.
It was something about just getting to a certain point or get your education. Then it's all fixed. Or but
Yeah,
then
education. Like once you have a degree,
and then
that's all I want. Then
Oh.
everything's gonna fall into place.
yeah, and that's not true.
What else? What are other examples of wants that we have had in our life or still have maybe that we mix up with goals?
It's most material, I think.
Most of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
When,
I always felt like if I had enough money,
yeah.
that's all I want, then everything else would just come into its natural expression. And then I had a lot of money and somehow it didn't happen. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe, I'm still young and whatever. So I went along, explored more. That's when I got a dog because money didn't do it. Okay, so the dog actually did it. Like I felt that brought me closer to what I truly want. I didn't know it at the time. And then I forgot about making money and it became unimportant to me until I didn't have enough money anymore to pay my rent. And then I realized, oh no, that needs to be part of it. It's not one or the other. I kind of have to bring these two things together. So then I worked myself up again. And then I met my first husband, became his CEO. He hired me. That's how we met. And eventually we married and had 2 kids together. Millionaire, old money. And I thought, this is all I ever wanted. With 30, I had all that I ever wanted. But somehow not. Somehow not. Suddenly, up until then, I did not want any children. Leave me alone with children. That's just too much responsibility. And no, I don't feel like I'm a good mom. I'm not even going to try. Well, all of a sudden, now once I had all the money in the world, money was no longer an obstacle, I suddenly felt the need to have kids. Oh, interesting, I thought. So I had kids. Forgot about the money. Although, truth be told, you need a lot of money if you want to have kids, at least here in the United States. It's a little easier in Europe. I'm not sure about Australia. It's probably a mixture of both. And all of a sudden, I had new ones. I didn't want to work for 14 hours a day anymore. I wanted to spend some time with my kids. I wanted to have fun with them. I wanted to go to see the choo-choo trains and, you know, play with stuffed animals and do little costumes for the stuffed animals and all that. My wants changed entirely. And I wanted to have family dinners, and I wanted to experience something like family. I realized that what I really wanted was not the kids, I wanted family. And then I realized, well, you know, my first husband wasn't a bad man, but he was an alcoholic, and there's limitations as to, you know, how safe you can feel with someone who isn't really themselves and, you know, tries to avoid feeling things. So then I realized, okay, it isn't the money, it isn't the relationship, it's something else. So I got divorced, lived with my kids as a single mom for a long time, and explored more and more and more, and started trying a different kind of family. Yeah, with my second husband, different man. He had 2 kids already, blended family. At first, I liked the idea of a bigger family. Then I realized that that's not it either. It's not just about the number of dogs. Yeah, I got 2 more dogs too, and 3 cats, and I just got more of all these things that I knew would give me something, but there was still an emptiness there. It wasn't it. Realized that there was no connection with my second husband, not really. It was all just about the props. Like you just said, it was all external somehow. Got divorced from my second husband and was again single mom for some time. And you know parts of my story, and I don't want to make it about me, but the point that I want to make here is that once can change. Have you noticed that? Anybody had similar things happen in their life where their wants changed over time? Nobody?
Hello, Jona.
Hi.
Hi, it's Sean here from
Hi,
Perth. How are
Sean.
you?
Good. Good
I
morning. This is
think
early for you.
I know, but
Or
I
late,
wanted to be.
actually.
It's late. I just wanted to relate that when I was younger, I wanted to be seen and heard, but for all the wrong reasons, for, shallow reasons. And I realized that that was a predisposition for me. And getting a bit older, I think my sanity and my peace and my well-being are like my priorities, but at the same time, because it became such an all-consuming thing, I forgot about the other part, to let go and have fun and be myself. And I think now I don't care as much what other people think of me, because I know who I am. So just in having said that, and feeling that, not just in my head and mentalizing it, it just shifts things for me all the time.
Mhm.
So at the moment, it's just hard to consolidate where it wants to go, but there's this new direction, and it's not so heavy. I don't know. I don't know if that
Yeah, I mean, we're not
helps
even
or
talking about that yet, where this is all going to go, right? We're just like
yeah,
literally finding out that wants are kind of, they are not constant. Wants can change.
yeah,
Yeah, and they have something to do with you know, like it's coming through what you shared. You know, you wanted people's validation, attention, and so forth. Where does this come from? Well, that's like from our upbringing. That's something like rooted in psychology, something that we didn't quite get when we were younger. You know, and then
correct.
yet we have this drive, you know, to get it, yeah, to go get it. Okay, this is how it works for all of us, and this is then fundamentally also the big illusion with our wants and also with our needs. Because most people, most people's wants are defined by what they don't want to feel no longer. Yeah? So even if our want is to get attention or validation from others, we really can't answer why. You guys ever ask yourself that? Why?
I think for me it was about not being able to let go of the past and
But
keep looking for the same things.
yeah, it's the very thing that you did not get enough of.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
Thank
were
you,
not
thank you.
allowed to eat chocolate cake, okay? And now all you want, all you can think of is to get as much chocolate cake as you can, okay?
Yes, that's the most simple, profound way you can say it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and all just based on the past, because you weren't allowed or you didn't get any chocolate cake, okay? And now that's your drive. I want as much chocolate cake as I can. And lo and behold, you get the chocolate cake and you realize, oh, that's weird. It really isn't about that, right? I mean, there was maybe something that needed to be healed, so we called this inner child aspects. Yeah. So it's common for us in the early years of our adolescence to define our wants through the drive. And the drive is something that comes from unresolved inner child aspects. Yeah, it's some kind of deficit. Yeah, some kind of deficit, something that we didn't get enough of, or the counter reaction to that, something we got too much of, yeah, that we don't want anymore. Yeah, so the example that I had in my life for this, like displayed in front of me with like big letters. I grew up in an alcoholic household with all my male relatives being alcoholics. I didn't know that men could be non-alcoholics. I did not know that. I only knew alcoholic men. So my first husband was an alcoholic man, and in the pursuit of that, like family and kids and so forth, I realized, well, you know what? It's not worth it. I don't want, family and stuff like that with someone who is alcoholic and repeat, the same pattern that I grew up in for my children. And guess what? My second husband was. He was a complete 100% anti-alcoholic. It's very, very common that we go through phases of pendulums, yeah, where we try to compensate, where we try to sometimes also overcompensate, yeah, for either lack, yeah, like a deficit of some sorts, or like an over stimulation or an overdevelopment of something. Can you guys follow me? Raise your hand if you can follow me in this.
Yes, I think I know what you are saying, and it does not apply only to people. It applies also to our environment.
Mm.
When I was growing up, I was born in a small town, and I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to live in a big city. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did live in London, in Chicago, in here, it's also big. And now I got enough of that. So now I'm moving away from the big city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it anymore.
Yes. So, well, you don't want it anymore.
Yeah, I don't want it anymore. It's kind
Yeah.
of too noisy for me.
So this is the interesting part, and I thank you for making this example. Of course, it's people, places, whatever it is. It's it's a thing. It's what we had too much of or what we had too little of that we are trying to compensate for. That drives us, and that is what we identify as a want. And as Sean correctly noted, it comes from the past. It has to do with our psychology, and this therefore falls into the category of ego. Yeah, it helps us to form up personality, and then in the course of our life, when we make choices, yeah, we are trying. We're trying, okay, and as we're trying, we notice that things change. Okay, we change. Our needs change, our wants change, and we realize what we thought we needed wasn't actually a need. That was just a want. So the relationship between needs and wants are that wants can be things we think we need. Yeah. They're sort of like, it's good to have them. We feel a certain level of sympathy to them. Yeah. And they often also come with you know, avoiding, you know, the negative feeling, yeah, that we perceived as a child. So our wants in the first half of our life are mostly defined through our psychology, through our ego, trying to change it, trying to avoid a negative feeling that we had. And this is the reason why most of you cannot actually say what you want, because all you can think of is what you don't want. Yeah, so when you then, as Aneta showed us, you know, start making conscious choices and start changing things, then you begin to, like me, you know, getting divorced, you know, trying a different strategy with a different kind of partner. You know, you begin to see like, wait, you know, like maybe it's not, and this is maybe something that you will also experience, Aneta, that it's neither the small town or the big city that is really what you want. There are certain parameters within that you can now, and this is very, very common for the second half in life, that can now inform you about what you actually need. So as we are going through all these wants, all these different chocolate cakes, with or without whipped cream, in the first part of our life, yeah, and weed out the things that do something for us and the things that don't, or just temporarily, and then they don't anymore, we are beginning to boil it down to what it actually is deep down that we want. And that's then when our wants and needs start becoming a little more aligned with one another. Aneta, do you want to be my sparring partner here for a sec? So you just said that after, you know, having grown up in a smaller town, you could think of nothing else but living in a bigger city. And then you lived in a bigger city, and then you noticed that, well, living in a big city is it's cool and all, but there's some cons as well, right? You mentioned something like noise. What other things have you found out that are more of like a annoyance or something, or like a contra, like a con, you know, when you live in a big city?
I would say the space between me and my neighbors. I could just
Okay.
look in my neighbor's house, which for me was kind of lack of privacy, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What else?
And people, I think there was at one point too much people, you know. It's a noise of the cars and everything else, but also this constant noise of people, you know, walking by. It was,
The energetic noise and the emotional
yes,
noise and all the, like, the commotion, I think
yes.
Americans say, the
And
commotion.
I think that the good parts, like being close to theaters, to all the entertainment, I think it was good, but then all this noisiness kind of was too dominant that I even forgotten about, you know, these good perks of being in the city. And it was just not enough to stay there, because, you know, if I want to go out to the theater or symphony or wherever, I can drive there. So I don't have to
How
leave.
often do we actually do this, right? I mean, you know, I don't have to live next door to the theater, right? And
Mhm.
cope with all the noise to go to the theater maybe once a month or
Yes.
once every 2 months, you know.
Mhm.
Okay, very good. So, okay, so and we call this maturing. Okay, so in the course of our life, our wants and needs mature, and they begin to communicate something back to us, yeah, namely what we truly need. Okay, so as of right now, Aneta, if I hear you correctly, you know, you're grateful for all your experiences and everything. So there's no criticism of any of your choices. There's no judgment of that. But you are now able to much more clearly define how you want something, how you want
That's
to
true.
live.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it has brought you closer to your needs. Now, can you answer this for me now? if I would ask you, well, so Aneta, what you shared is wonderful, and what's your conclusion now? If let's say you have the freedom to go anywhere you want, okay, without restriction, yeah, what are the minimum needs that need to be fulfilled for you to feel in a certain way?
You mean about the placement or environment?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, but all of it together. So you mentioned a few things. You said it's big city is too noisy, it's too much commotion, it's too this, too this, too this. Now rephrase this into like what it actually is that you want.
so I want to be in a good proximity to the city or something bigger, to good proximity to stores, because I need them. I am not self-sufficient. But
okay, define good proximity.
It's driving around up to 20 minutes, just say.
Okay, all right, that gives
For
you
the
a
shopping.
radius.
For the city could be a little bit farther, but you know, even up to 45 minutes, I am okay with that.
Okay.
I want the neighbors because I like people. It's not like that I don't need them, but
It's
they
not
don't
rural Montana somewhere up in the mountains, isolated, no noise, no commotion. That's not it either. Right?
No, or the countryside when I am the only house and there is nothing else. No, so it's good to have a community, but I like the space around, you know, my house. So the front yard, the backyard.
Is this a want or is this a need?
It's need. For me, it's a need.
Yes.
That's my zone. That's my sanity.
Yes.
That's my.
Yes, thank you. Good job. Yes, it is a need.
Yeah.
Not just a want, it's a need.
Yeah, that's a need for sure.
Okay, what other needs have you discovered?
I need to have a garden.
All
Like
right.
even one box, 4x4. Well, I do have 4x8, which is still small, but that's a need, you know.
Okay. How is this a need? Can you describe this to the 5-year-old and me?
Oh, in a 5-year-old, that would be more difficult.
Oh, no, I mean the common sense, guys. This is
No,
you
I like
really need to train this, you know, not these
I like to
abstract concepts.
watch when something is growing. And I
Okay.
am doing my garden mostly for watching and taking care of that. It's kind of weird because the produce is like a byproduct. I am happy when I've got my tomatoes and cucumbers, but the pleasure of taking care of that every day, watering, observing it grow, that's I think my main purpose.
Yeah. Okay. So wow, here we have not just a need, we even have like an impulse to think about purpose. Okay. Now, if you had to put this into context with goals, yeah, we've now differentiated wants and needs, and now we're talking purpose here. How does that relate to goals?
Responsibility and sustainability, and then within that sustainability, seeing what needs correction or different needs that come along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, those are all big words, you know, we're still like trying to be able to communicate this to a 5-year-old. But yes, I hear what you're saying, Sean. Yeah, to make sure that we are moving toward it, right? To make sure that we can
Yes,
uphold
not
it,
just
that we
in the
can maintain
mind.
it. Yeah.
Not just in the mind.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's not just about getting it or having it. It's about, especially with what Aneta just shared with us, the caretaking and but there's a whole process involved in that, right? Like watching something grow and interacting with it and feeling it and enjoying it. You even said something like pleasure, Aneta. Yeah, so that's like a whole process. Okay, and that, you know, puts, you know, like a whole different dimension to it. And I mean that this is something that I just always want that around me. That's like water.
If I would like to, use the big words, I would say that I just wanted to create my sacred space.
Okay.
It's a space
Yes.
which I would really love, and and feel comfortable in it. It would be my happy place.
Yes, I love that. That's a really, really well-defined need that you're expressing here, Aneta. But you also have a little bit of boundaries along with that. You want a sacred space. You want to build and maintain and enjoy and grow that sort of sacred space for yourself. But you've also said something else. You said, I don't want to do this on my own. I don't want to be isolated. This is not just about me and my sacred place. I do like people. I do. I mean, this is for you, Aneta. Now we're talking about you. You know,
Yes.
and it's very important that you all kind of check on that. You know, like, how does that relate to others or to your environment? You know, you can have a sacred place on the mountaintop, you know, all for yourself. You know, you can claim the whole mountain as your sacred place, you know, but is that truly what you want? Is that
Yeah.
truly what you need?
And I think also, like, knowing myself better, I know that I recharge when I am by myself in my this happy place.
All right, so you can explain it to yourself why you
Yes,
can
but I also
identify this as a
recharge when
need.
I am with people. So it's not only I need to be
Mm.
lonely in order to recharge, because if I don't communicate with people or interact with people, even if I am in my happy place, I am not that happy. So it has to be a perfect balance with one way and another, my loneliness and my pleasure of being with myself, but also the pleasure of interacting with other people.
Mhm. Wow, now we're getting somewhere here, guys. Now we're having a much better feeling for what the word balance means, right? Yeah. Linda, you said something about balance in the beginning, but I said it's too abstract of a concept. We need to be able to define that to ourselves. What keeps me in balance? Sean, you said something about sustainability, big word, but really what is sustainable? Well, things that are in balance are sustainable. Wow. You know, now we're starting to understand the mechanics of that. Now, since this is a workshop, and a workshop is not just there for you to consume, yeah, but for you to interact. What are you taking as of right now from this contemplation, from these sharings that we have worked out together here, yeah, by differentiating one's needs, and perhaps as the next step, the changes. Can you define more clearly now, and ideally using simple terms, yeah, not the big words, not the abstract words, but simple terms, what it is that you want, what it is that you need? Linda, you've asked me ahead of time, can you give me tips on how to tune into the needs and the wants? Well, we just worked through this here in the last 50 minutes. How to become more aware of our wants and needs and how they relate to one another, and then ultimately also how they relate to our purpose and goal in life. But we're not there yet. We're just like literally just figuring out, yeah, what our true wants and our true needs are. And we are aware that this is a constant process. It's a striving, yeah, to harmonize this more and more, yeah, with the constant stream of life. Yeah. So Janet, you know, before you came, I made it clear, and we did a lot of examples here, that it's very common that for the first half of our life, we're not quite sure yet what our wants and needs are. We typically define them through what we don't want. Yeah, but most people are not really able to define what they want. In fact, that is something that I have taken to heart at Master Tree Academy at the school, the elementary school that I have. And I teach kids from kindergarten, from 5 years old on, to clearly define what it is that they want or need. And I help them differentiate between needs and wants at this early stage. Because my theory is that if we are being taught that at this earlier stage, it becomes much more easy for us down the road, for us to have this clarity about what we're in for here, what we're actually aiming at. We don't have to wait till we're 60. Maybe we can already figure this out by the time we're like 25, 28. Can you guys now, after this contemplation, define what your needs are, your true needs? And your true wants.
I'll
Say
take
it
a
out.
shot.
Yeah, take a shot.
I think mine is to, no matter what, be always come back to myself and my true self, no matter what happens in the outside world. And I can actually verify that because I've had a shitstorm of things happen to me, and I've actually just walked away and said, I'm not going to react. I don't want that coming back. Psychologically in every way, I just don't want that coming back. So I'm moving on and I'm integrating that for myself and not taking it on anymore and not blaming myself. And what I can no longer really do is not only not take responsibility for myself, but allow other people to do whatever they want and think that I need to take responsibility for them as well. So that's been a huge thing for me.
All right, John, can you rephrase the whole thing again without using any negations, without mentioning the word what I no longer want or no longer do or no longer
I
being?
think my pattern was trying to work people out and
No, no,
having
no, no,
them.
no, no, no explanations why it was in the past. We don't want to look into the past right now. We want to
Okay,
take a snapshot of right now, here and now, who you are, the totality of you and all your experiences and what you now know about yourself and your needs and your wants.
okay. I no longer need to buy into other
Mm-mm.
people. That,
Eh,
that,
again.
what I need is to feel secure in myself and come back to myself when I'm in or out, if I'm home or not home. I need to know
Okay.
that I'm okay.
Okay, that I'm okay. Okay, that's something that we Linda defined, or Aneta, I think it was feeling safe within yourself. Wonderful,
Yep.
good job. Yeah, but
Like feeling
you see the
myself. Being, yep.
do you see the temptation here? This unconscious habit of defining what we want through what we don't want.
Yes.
Okay, keep going. Who wants to go next?
Someone else, please.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say it's much like Aneta described. I need a safe space.
Did you just say you needed a safe space?
I need to be in a safe space, and has to be, space around the house, a garden or something, but not
Okay,
too
so you
near.
need space and you need to feel safe. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Can you connect that with a want? Want is a little bigger than a need, right? It's a bit fluffier. The need is sort of the minimum requirement, right? The
Yeah.
want is kind of like would be nice to have, like there's a minimum want and then there's a ideal, right? But can you relate your need? I want to feel safe in my space. I want space. Can you extend that a little bit? And like Aneta did as well, include your environment, other people into this.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, the safest way to feel, or the best way to feel safe, is to disconnect, entirely from others. isolate.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It has to be a balance, like Anetta described. I could really relate to that.
Say it in your own words, Annette. It's very important.
Yeah, there's
Don't relate to what other people said. That's their internalized feeling.
okay.
Say it in your words, out of your feeling, out of your heart, how you feel this.
I need this space, my house, and space around the house where I can feel safe and on my own. And I need people around.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So I can connect.
Good.
I don't want. No, we don't use that word.
It's so hard, I'm telling you guys. It takes years of practice.
Oh my God. Yeah, I need people around me.
Yeah, you said it. Oh my God. Is there a little bit of resistance there somewhere?
Yeah, it has to be in balance.
Yeah. Good. It's good enough.
I'm struggling with not using the not word.
I know. We all do. And that's why you guys cannot answer the question where your goals are, because you don't know where your goals are. You can only define it by what you don't want. So now we're forming the ABC here, okay? The ABC, yeah, so that we can then form entire sentences. Okay. Yeah. All right. Who else wants to go?
Hi.
Hi.
Uh, I I I need some more beauty,
All
uh,
right. Okay.
and I also think about a garden because I think it's a need for me now with a garden.
Okay. And it's the beauty that you get from the garden. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
the,
it's
you know.
beauty and it's something
Mm-hmm.
about flowers. It's
Mm-hmm.
really beauty for me with flowers
Mm-hmm.
and also I don't know if it's a want or it's a need actually, but more joy, more fun, and more humor. I want to laugh more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I
And
want to laugh more. That's a bit more concise. Be careful, guys, with defining things through more, because
yeah,
when you say
okay,
more, it's a comparison to the past.
yeah,
Okay, it's
yeah, I can
relative, it
see that.
relates to the past. We want to free
Yeah,
ourselves from those things in the past and
yeah,
define it how we want it in the future. So, can you say that again? I mean, it's not, the last sentence had a little more power because you said, I want more joy.
you, yeah, more
But can you
joy.
say this? Can you say this without more? Can you just say what you
I
want
just want joy and fun and humor
in your life?
uh, in my life, yeah. And uh, and I know for sure that I want connection to other
Okay.
people,
Okay.
and I want true connection.
Okay.
And I also want to feel safe in myself.
Okay. True connection, define that, please.
Um, I want to connect with people who, yeah,
How do you know that it's a
uh,
true connection you have with people as opposed to, like, I guess, a
yeah,
false
yeah.
connection?
Perhaps it's something about being interested in self-evolving.
Okay. So you want to, you feel more connected, you feel truly connected to people who have the same interest as you,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like-minded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar
And
values.
yeah, similar values. That makes you feel more connected, right? That feels truer
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
than as opposed to, we're comparing now the past experience, colleagues or something that is sort of just or neighbors, random people that you have to live with, but you don't actually feel connected with them.
No. And then I want a dog.
Ha 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 ha. Okay. Yeah. Good job. Okay.
And I also think it's much easier to say what I don't want.
Yeah, well, everybody feels that way, but
Yeah.
that's not working because
No,
imagine
no.
this. Imagine this, everyone.
Yeah.
You get an order form. Yeah, you find a bottle with the genie, and the genie says, "Here's your order form for your future. Fill it out." And all you can come up with is what you don't want.
Yeah, and that's what you energize.
Can
Well,
I just say something,
the
Jona?
genie
Sorry.
doesn't. Yes, hang on a second, John. The genie doesn't know the difference between wanting and not wanting. All it sees is the order form, and you write down all the things that you don't want. What do you think the genie's going to deliver?
What we don't want.
Yay! Yeah, because you focus so much on it. Yeah, you said it yourself. You energize it. It's extremely important to realize this is just actually fundamental psychology what we're doing here. Yeah, awareness making, self-reflection. Now go ahead, John. Go ahead.
I used to do new moon wishes, and I haven't for years. And let me tell you, it actually used to work because it used to say, I want to feel more connected to other people. I want to feel more confident in different variety of situations and those kind of things. And it did work, but I stopped. I don't know why. And it did work because
Well,
I'd let
the,
it go and it would, happen. Sorry.
the reason why it stops working or why this is already enough is because when you come from a place where all you can think of is what you don't want, and you improve that, you upgrade it to what you do want, for some time that works, but there's an alignment process that has to happen along the way. Remember when I talked about how the wants changed? Yeah, I got everything I wanted in life. I can truly say that. But what I wanted changed. Okay, so do you know what I mean? I wanted to be a millionaire. When I was a millionaire, I didn't no longer had that want. And I wanted to have a loving family. So we have to adjust that. We have to constantly work on, the alignment process, because our wants still relate to the past. They still relate to, our experiences. Our needs are actually more fundamental. They're more true than our wants, because they don't actually change that much. They do seemingly change, but if you look back in your life, you see that your needs have never really changed. What has changed is the wants that overlaid the needs. And if I look back to my life, very, very early into my life, what I needed is still the same what I need today. But how I thought I could get there, that changed. And right here is the secret of manifestation. Forming the ABCs of what you want, knowing that this might change, so it's a variable, and what you need. What you need is a little more of a constant, and therefore also needs to be handled with care. It has to be absolutely authentic. That's a bit more of a constant. And then you're going to have to allow yourself, to give yourself some space for error, some exploration space to figure this out. And how do we do this? By initiating changes. Yeah. Sometimes we don't know what we need or want until it's gone. Anybody ever had that occur to them?
Oh yeah, recently.
Yeah, it's like, oh, dang it. Yeah. All of a sudden you have this like big epiphany. You're like, oh no, this is not something, I want to miss. So we have to give ourselves this room for error, this experimentation, to come to a good place within ourselves where we know what needs to change. Now comes the $1,000,000 question. Since we've been working on this here, contemplating about our needs and wants and the relationship between them, do you know what you need to change in order to get there?
My attitude.
Oh, what else?
My perceptions of myself and other people.
Like your judgments? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Because they're
Mm-hmm.
from the past and I've just let go of relationships. The universe has said, nope, no more. You can't degrade yourself and have that in your life.
All right.
So
So
I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel good about the inner work that I've done and not have to explain it or justify it. Yeah, that's really an important need
okay.
for
So what do
me.
you
Is
need?
that
Okay, what do you need to change in
I
order
think
to reach that?
I,
In order
you
to
know
get
what
there?
it is? Stop looking at myself in such a negative way and
Ooh,
say
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
doing an awesome job. I really
Yeah.
am, and I'm making changes, and I'm feeling so much more not codependent. It's just, and having that is making me feel powerful. It's making me say, no, I've got a lot more choices than I realize. And I'm
Yay.
not just saying this in my mind, I can feel
No.
this,
Yeah, you can feel this. Yeah.
and no one can take this away unless I do it. I give it away. So that's where I'm at. So thank
So
you
your
so much.
attitude. So your attitude needs to change. And as
Yeah.
you change your attitude, your motivation changes. Hmm? Woohoo.
Yes, and that's what's been happening.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere, guys. Do you
Thank
know
you.
what you need to change in order to get there? What is there? Well, the there is, combination of needs and wants, whereby the needs and wants, especially the wants, are kind of variable. Yeah, so it's a constant approximation. You try to get as close as you can. So all you really need to focus on, once you know what your needs are, and maybe also what your wants are, then it's like, okay, so what do I need to change, and what comes up? What is the obstacle? What hinders us to make these changes? So Sean found out that it's his attitude that can hinder him, that can make it harder for him, that can make it a struggle for him to reach his goal. His goal being defined through the fulfillment of his needs and wants. Okay, so what other hindrances have you identified in your life, that changes that you know you need to do, but you're not doing them? This is self-reflection, guys, and it requires bone-crushing honesty with yourself. This isn't about me or what I think. This is literally learning how to master not just your needs and wants, but also your goals, and with it, your choices. Hmm?
It's about not asking others for permission to start or do it.
No, there's
And
a negation here. We don't do
us.
negation. Say it again without negation.
Um, it's not stopping myself through the lens of others.
Not
It's
is a
just
negation. Not again.
Sherbet. Okay. This is just doing it through feeling and making those choices by feeling what the next right choice is, and yeah, that's all I've got.
Okay, can feelings change? Is it enough to
Sorry.
just go by Can feelings change? Are they variable? Is it
Yeah, of
enough
course
to
they
just go by
can.
feelings? All right, so that's maybe
Yeah,
tuning more into the feeling and making sure that the feeling is the true feeling. Is that what you
that's
said?
correct.
All
That's
right.
correct.
Okay, so you found out that you need to change your attitude and that you need to change the way you work with your feelings. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Janet, I saw you wanting to contribute.
Hi, I made it end of the chat here. And what I've observed in myself over these last few months, because I've had to make some changes that were inconvenient.
All right.
And inconvenient because I had focused, for instance, on my health and healing, and that was very well indicated and it was proving very well. But now it's, about having to move into more work again in a very unknown scape. So I found what has, oh my God, I'm going off the question that you asked. What do you want to get precise about?
What do you need to change?
I need to change consistently. I'm finding the little sticky spots are staying centered and staying centered and going step by step and staying affirmative of myself, what I'm doing and what I can manage, maintaining humility, really about what my brain thinks needs to get done, but allowing me to actually do it, because in the doing, the answers come.
Okay,
So
so what you're saying is that you have to step into more action. Is that what
yeah,
you're saying?
and yeah, the thing that's hard for me right now is I used to be able to move faster, not because I'm like got a cane and tripping all over the place, being like an old person, but the way I functioned in the past, I am referring to my past, put me like in the hospital. I just moved so fast that I think I just spun out of control. So this is me wanting to set a stronger path along what I need to do without losing my health, without losing things that I care about.
Okay. So what I hear you say is that you need to be more conscientious about the balance of it all.
Yes,
I hear you say step by step. I hear you say not too much, but more but not too much. Different. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you need more balance.
yeah, the balance too, because what I need to change is my financial situation. It's very volatile right now with everything that has happened. So that's what I have to change.
Okay. What do you think is responsible for you struggling with that?
Stupid choices that I got pulled into about a year ago.
Okay. Stupid. Well, not just a year ago, right? Like just in general, like you just explained to us how, or described to us how you often lost balance
Yeah.
in life, right? And that is what got you where you're at, and you realize that in order to, you know, to fulfill your needs and wants, you need more balance. Now you investigate what is it that got you out of balance. You said stupid choices, a little bit of judgment in there, but that's okay. I'm taking it. Yeah. Stupid choices. Okay, can you define stupid choices? Actually, Sean had said something very similar, just hinting at that. What were these stupid choices based on?
They're based on hope and healing vulnerable, that was based in a very vulnerable, naive place. Just really kind of like somebody taking candy from a baby. And so that's where, you know, really
Naive. You said
not,
naive,
yeah,
unconscious,
the more
unconscious, a
nurturing,
little bit blind, a little bit blind. Yeah.
nurturing, loving way is just was really unfair situation that I just couldn't grasp that it wasn't true. So
Okay, so you fell for, you know, something that wasn't true. This has happened to
based
all
on
of us.
love, based
Yeah.
on love, yeah.
Well, what you thought was love, right? What you
Yeah,
thought was love.
precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding of it.
Yeah. So there's this is still very convoluted in you. It's not clear for you what it actually is that qualifies your choices as stupid choices. But if you tell yourself that it's because you fell victim of something on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now your order form cannot be fulfilled if it points out, you know, that you are powerless. Okay. If you emphasize the fact that you're powerless, well, then the order form basically says, well, then let's fold it, because if you're powerless, then there's no point in filling out an order form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that can't be it. Okay. You did say something about naive. That's more true, Janet. Yeah, because it comes from, you said you used descriptors such as vulnerable and hopeful. You wanted it to be it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
wanted it to be it so badly that it ended up, from today's perspective, you know, being somewhat naive. Yeah, and maybe that's something here to look at as a pattern too. Yeah, that there's a drive in you, yeah, a desire, yeah, to have something like love, to get that, yeah, that can override your needs sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
you may think it is a need. It is, but not that one.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
I've seen this
So,
too, though. I have gotten tighter with my understanding and honoring what I need, the very basic, simple little things that, you know, that are truly the puzzle pieces of each day, the building blocks that make that
and
path forward.
in your case, this is very interesting for all of us here, because in your case, your needs and your wants compete with another
Yeah,
occasionally.
that's
Uh-huh. Because your
I
want,
this I realize. I'm like, oh, I'm in conflict.
yeah, your wants, yeah, are fantastical. They negate or disregard your needs sometimes. And this happens to all of us. But in your case, it's more obvious for you, because you already have the awareness that there is some kind of override that occurs, because you already have all the knowledge, Janet. It's not a lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And by now, it's not even a lack of experience, because you are a lot of things, but not naive, my dear. You've experienced a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's starting to click in, and yeah, I feel a little stupid about it. I don't know what
Okay,
it is.
stupid is bit, it's a bit judgmental, because if you
Yeah,
try to be
but
like just sort of neutral, there's some kind of conflict that overrides things. Yeah, where it gets foggy, where you can no longer connect with your needs, and you let go of your own needs in favor of something else. And that's then what creates the imbalance.
I think there's a small hint, and I don't know if other people have this with their wants, but there's still, I noticed a lingering blind spot on me that was not, was still trying to please somebody. I didn't realize I was walking through
Yes.
life still trying to please this person.
Let's
And
take a snapshot here real quick, Janet, just to make you feel better.
yeah,
Raise your hand if you've ever done anything for somebody else, realizing much later that as you were trying to please someone, or prioritizing other people's needs, you were actually giving your own needs up and ended up in a very imbalanced place. Basically, you got screwed, yeah, because your own needs weren't met anymore. My hand is up a million times, a million times.
1
Janet,
million from my end too.
it's all of us. Okay, we all know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's not so obvious. I mean, sometimes it really is obvious, boo, 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 but I had worked through many of the obvious ones. This one, this month, truly a healing,
Yep.
like, oh, there it is. Pull that one out.
Yep.
Yeah.
We all get our little tests here if we really got the lesson.
Yeah.
So what's the lesson? Well, the first part of the lesson, I think in your case, just to help you out here a little bit, is to do not prioritize other people's needs over your own. Period.
Yeah.
Because that gets you into devil's kitchen, because you have a little bit of a blind spot there, which means I have the same problem, always need to particularly take care of that your needs are met. Yeah, you need to make, you need to
Yeah.
double and triple check before you decide to do something for somebody else. Just so that you can make sure that you were conscious, because there is this override, yeah, that will in a split second make you forget your own needs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just something you're learning about yourself. Okay, like you have that.
I watched both the sides. I was like, whoa, I really was going. I mean, I was like,
Yeah,
look at her go.
yeah, and it's okay. It's totally
Somebody
okay.
else.
We have these experiences, Janet, to learn from them. Yeah, and that's why it's so important that we don't judge ourselves, but that we actually reflect on it and do what we're doing here right now. It's an awareness making process. What actually happened there? Oh, I see. I got run over by somebody else's needs that made me not only forget, not only neglect, no, literally betray my own needs. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
very
like
powerful.
abusing. It's like flat out
Yes,
abuse.
but how could that happen? Why does that happen? There must have been a want. Yeah, the chocolate cake that we talked about in the beginning, that we somehow promised ourselves we will get out of that. Yeah, in the sacred self-healing course, we call this the payoff. There must have been a promise somehow down the road that if we please others or this other person or whatever, if we prioritize this other person's needs, that in the end we get the big reward.
Yeah, that's like you say that, and yes, it's absolutely like when looking at it objectively, there's almost, I don't want to make it look like I'm the fat person man eating the little mint in the restaurant, but really the sense of greed and the sense of greed that we all can be driven into through the society. Like even going back into my work, I have to keep readjusting instead of trying to focus on what's ahead that somebody else, it looks like for somebody else, because it'll like suddenly become that same drive forward in a false scenario. It's like playing to a false scenario.
Well, it's playing to a false scenario is basically what I called the fantastical earlier.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so from a psychological point of view, it's a delusion. Okay, so we promise ourselves something like a big reward, and that's why that begins to drive us more than our self-preservation, for example.
Yeah, well, it's like making a business. Like you're gonna drive ahead and you're gonna, you're gonna just, there you're on Instagram, there you're there and there, but nothing's actually really happening. It's like fake.
Well, no, I mean, no, that's not necessarily a good comparison, because you have to, when it comes to like material things, when it comes to business and stuff like that, you sometimes have to do that. That's part of how it goes. Yeah, that's the rule of business. Okay, that's the rule of law. If you want this, you've got to do this first. That's fine. We're talking about the blind spot here. The blind spot is a different one, Janet. Yeah, that's not, the balance that may be here disturbed or could be disturbed with business back in your life. Yeah, is a different one, and that is what is the original goal? Why am I doing this? Yeah, for doing business, and is this fulfilled? Like a checkup, like a continual checkup, once a month or something. You know, is this fulfilling the need and the want that is behind the decision to run a business? And that needs to be double checked on. Now, if you're building something, it's a little different because it's common. It's a rule of business that you have to, just like when you plant seeds, that you have to wait. You have to go into like paying it forward to a certain degree, and wait until you can harvest. Yeah, but you have to kind of set a date, a timeline when you're going to make that assessment. Like I'm going to do this for a year and then I'm going to look at it, or do this for 2 years and then I'm going to look at it and see if it's worth it. That's how business is run. Yeah. Relationships fundamentally same thing, except for that we have different elements that play into this. Yeah, the need of wanting to have company, the need to feel love, to share, joy and stuff like that. So but we still have to assess it. Yeah, we still have to assess whether what we get back, and I don't mean this in a transactional way, but I mean this in the sense of, are we getting closer to our goal here? Yeah, is this moving us toward it or not? Yeah, so this is the part that we all need to make more aware to us. And then here, if you look at the screen, you see that now we have a much better understanding of what the goal is. Yeah, and then what the ways are, the strategies to get there, and what tools we need to get there. This is where we got stuck in our workshop, Mastering Our Goals. Yeah, which is why we're doing this investigation here, or why we did this here today, to build the ABC, to formulate sentences for ourselves that are more accurate, that are more sustainable, that are more defined, so that our manifestation efforts can even be effective. Huh? So the first thing we learned is to differentiate between needs and wants, to recognize that needs are somewhat constant in our life, but that they can be overwritten by wants, by the chocolate cakes of life, and that the wants constantly change. They're relative to our situation. So we need to keep an eye on our wants. But all spiritual practices, all spiritual paths and traditions have a word for this. They suggest that you refrain from any wants altogether. They call it, non-attachment or detachment. Yeah, and that allows you to better feel what your needs are. Now, in our modern life nowadays, it's a little unrealistic, yeah, to completely refrain from everything. But we can do this in our day-to-day life with, double checking on our wants, double checking on our drives, yeah, and learn to become a little more aware of why we're doing things and what we promise ourselves with the payoff, maybe. And that's how you can filter out a lot of things. I found out I don't actually really want this. Yeah, this is a very, very common insight at a certain point in our life. So we narrow it down. And then we found out that we have a fundamental flaw in our filling out the order form. We are actually not able to identify and formulate our needs and wants without using negations. Okay, if these two things, if you take home these two things, okay, you like a massive step forward. Yeah. In our next workshop, we will talk about, yeah, further differentiating different strategies, yeah, different ways to get to the fulfillment of our needs and wants, which we now defined as our goals. Yeah, the fulfillment that it's the fulfillment of our needs and wants. Okay, and now we can discuss strategies and tools that are needed. But first, we have to agree that there are some things, yeah, there's this error perception that may influence us. Yeah, we have to agree to give ourselves a little space, yeah, to give ourselves this room for error, because we now understand that this is merely an approximation. Yeah, we're trying to get closer, yeah, to aligning all of our needs and wants with another and harmonize them, yeah, bring about balance. So this is where we're at right now. We're going to continue in the next workshop, yeah, and that will then allow us to become more aware of the way we think, of the way we feel, and of the way we make choices. And these three self-mastery pillars, guys, without being able to answer how you think, not what your thoughts are, how you think, how you feel, and how you make choices, well, you cannot really manifest anything. Okay, you have to first become aware of all these different components that determine the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you choose. So use this as an impulse now, yeah, for homework, more or less, you know, to become more aware of your needs and wants, yeah, and what needs to change, and also what the struggles are that you're facing, right? Because, you know, quite frankly, most of you are very intelligent. You have a really good grasp on spiritual concepts and all, but you sometimes lack the common sense. Yeah. Why aren't you doing it then? Or how is what you're doing working for you? Yeah, those are common sense questions. Can you hear me? Yeah, like, yeah, I need to change this and that. Oh, okay, cool. And how is that working for you? Oh, I need to go to the gym more often. I need to do more exercise. Oh, cool insight. And how is it working? Are you doing it? No. Oh, why? Yeah, becoming more aware of the resistances here, the hindrances, the struggles. And then in the last part about becoming aware of our goals, we're actually going to go more into the spiritual, the esoteric part of this and investigate the forces in us that are working, well, toward and against our goals and conscious choices. I know that you guys all love those kind of discussions, but these kind of discussions make no sense if you are not aware of the fundamental mechanics within yourself, how your wants and needs and your struggles are interacting, if you're not aware of the mechanics within yourself. Why? Because until then, you will externalize it all. You will say that, oh, it's the weather, it's the collective energy, it's the ex-boyfriend, or ex-husband, or the work, or the money, or the system, or whatever. And for as long, and this is the last sentence, for as long as we externalize our struggles, yeah, our why we can't get there, all right, we can't manifest. You have to understand your inner workings. Know yourself. Know thyself. Anyone here familiar with Ayurveda? Yeah, it's the bridge back to healing. What heals us is understanding. What makes us sick? Insight heals. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for making this a lively workshop by sharing and interacting and going with it, okay? That makes me happy. And I'm very, very impressed and super stoked about the insights that you were able to work out here in the course of these 1.5 hours. Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you and see you soon.
Thank you, Jona.
Mhm.
Thank
Thank
you.